Welcome back to another episode of Little Whimsy. We set a personal best record this year. Whimsy was up and the trains were running for just over 10 weeks, which is kind of marvelous. I'm in the process of taking it all down again and making a list of the electrical, mechanical, uh, structural requirements, things I can improve on and alter. The fun part is getting it all away back down to our basement. And I kind of wish we could just set it up down there, but we don't have a part of the basement that is really suitable. It's not quite large enough. There are awkward things permanently in the way. I'm not sacrificing my man cave, and I don't think my man cave would really be big enough anyway. So I think we're going to try to find a new, better basement and design it around Little Whimsy. I mean, yeah, we'll put a house on top of it. That's kind of expected. But anyway, those are questions for another day. Right now, I'm dividing my time between shivering and loading the wood furnace. We do have electric heat, but we also have a very reasonable electric bill, thanks to Big Bertha, my favorite furnace. The animals are responding to the cold weather too. The birds hang around a lot longer. The other animals, the squirrels, red squirrels and gray squirrels, come whenever things are suitable and they can manage the travel through the trees. The deer are the big one this year. They've discovered they like sunflower seeds, so I have to time my feedings around their schedule, and they're trying to arrange their schedule on when the human will put food out. I really don't enjoy having my feeders cleaned by 4 or 5 deer, but you have to take it in stride. Even as I'm making this cast, the feeder cleaning service is in full swing, as you can see. The other pictures are just some shots of the animals we have scattered in, about, and around Little Whimsy, Whimsy Dell, and the park. I know people who get hissy at squirrels at their bird feeders, and that's fine if that's them. But I do try to treat the animals with some respect. The deer, for instance, will run when we go out the door. About 100 feet they run, and once they're 30 or 40 meters away, they turn around and look back and try to figure out what we're doing and can they come back. All the animals are like that. We've got a lot of animal figurines in with Little Whimsy, not just dogs and cats, but there's a red fox, like the one we had in our yard a couple of winters ago. Uh, we have rabbits, and we've had a rabbit or two visiting us in the spring. Birds and squirrels, and various other wild creatures, lots of deer, all represented in Little Whimsy. The one animal that I really enjoy, because they have terrific personalities, I haven't been able to find a figurine for, except for the one behind me on the shelf. That is a raccoon. And I know in most of the planet they are considered to be pests. Not at my place. Uh, Unfortunately, the first raccoon I met was kind of set the gold standard for animal behavior. It arrived at the bird feeder in broad daylight one afternoon and came back for several afternoons thereafter. And I could not figure out whether it was male or female. It was always on its belly, so you couldn't tell. And the other part of it was that we noticed it was in terrible condition. The coat was just threadbare, and obviously it was not in the best of condition. And then Easter arrived, and with Easter we got a ham with a bone and the fat rind and everything else. And I'd been looking online to see what disease or parasite this animal would have, and I couldn't find anything that really matched. So I thought, well, one thing that any animal does appreciate, raccoons are omnivores, we'll try it on some bits of ham and some rind. And at that point, things altered. When we first met, if I put my head out the door, the raccoon would retreat. After ham, the raccoon decided that I was okay. So it let me get 6, maybe 5 meters from it, and that's as close as I could get. If I stepped closer, it turned out to be a she, turned out to be a nursing mother actually, which is why the coat was in such a state. She would reluctantly climb down and slowly move off through the woods, not in a panic, but she didn't like humans that close. I called it Marley before I found out whether it was a boy or a girl, and continued to call it Marley because I'd memorized the name, and I have a terrible time with names a lot of the time, so Marley she was. What developed was a rather interesting relationship. I could sit on my front step and throw bread crusts, and the bottom of the front walk was far enough away that Marley would accept them. And if it happened to be a leftover barbecued hot dog or something, she would take it and disappear, obviously going back to her nest and to feed her young. And it was about a 12 to 15 minute round trip, depending. So she wasn't living all that far away. I never did find her den. I never bothered looking for it. Later that summer, in the dark of night, I was out in the front yard just enjoying the end of the day, and I saw something moving in the driveway. I thought it was a cat, but it was running up the driveway directly to me. And when it got close enough, meaning 10 feet away, I realized it was a baby raccoon who proceeded to come right up to me, stopped dead, about 2 feet in front of me, looked up at me. "What are you?" He had never seen a human. And at that point, there was what can only be described as a hissing, chattering growl from the darkness, and I spotted Marley bounding off into the brush. And of course, her kit realized that it was a danger situation, and thinking quickly, not wanting to turn his back on this being, he simply hit high-speed reverse and backtracked down the driveway until he too could blast off into the brush pile and following Mother. So there were 2 rules with Marley. You don't get closer than 5 or 6 meters, and you don't pay any attention to the kits whatsoever. Any time that I went out, she would herd the kits away from me, and I was not allowed to give them food or anything. Marley was a very good mother. She never raided my garbage bin. She never did any damage of any sort to anything in the yard except a couple of plants that we'd put in the ground and used bone meal, and the bone meal attracted her. Once we caught on to that fact, no more bone meal, no more plant problems. Just the two rules. Keep your distance. Don't come out when you know my kits are around. She kept them with her right through the winter, and very often at the feeder in our front walk, I could stand in the dining room window. She didn't object to that, and watch these fur balls digging in the snow for sunflower seeds, and it was entertainment. Marley was with us for a number of years, and the rules were always the same. By the way, she never let the kits go down by the road either. She was a very savvy raccoon. One year, my son and his family were with us, and their daughter, at the age of 3 or 4, I believe, was very interested in wildlife. And when we saw Marley at the feeder in the front walk, we went out, and I cautioned her, this is how you behave. Marley doesn't like humans who make sudden noises and movements and try to get too close. So you and I are going to go out. We're going to sit on the front step. I've got a hot dog here and a couple of bread crusts, and we'll see if Marley wants it. Marley wanted it all right. She got down from the feeder very carefully, and then she realized there were 2 of us. And she came up the front walk at a sedate pace and kept coming and kept coming. And finally, I put my hand out in the gesture that I'd used to indicate there was no more food. It's the only thing I could think of to do. And she stopped, probably about a meter away from us. And then the little light in my brain went on. She had never seen a human kit. She didn't know that we had one, and she was tremendously interested and honored that we would let her see it and come up and have a good look. A couple of years later, Marley didn't have any kits. She came on her own. Her behavior was different. The following spring, she came for a couple of months, and then we never saw her again. However, her final brood were 2 raccoons, a brother and sister. Pusher is a very aggressive, determined male. Emma is very small and has a hard time being a mother. I think her kits kicked her out of the nest. But the last time she was here was broad daylight with 4 kits in tow. And they were all over the place, and the look on Emma's face was simply, I need a hand. Can you provide some daycare and possibly a little food for this shambling horde of babies? And I did, and we got along very well. But they don't come in the winter anymore, and I do miss them very much. Anyway, next time on Little Whimsy, I'm going to describe how my feet are always cold. There's a good reason for that, and it's one to remember. They say there is a God who watches over fools, and yeah, I employ him full time. The other things we'll talk about quite possibly are some of the particular buildings in Little Whimsy that have great meaning for us. Anyway, we'll talk to you again. I hope you have a good week. I hope you have a good experience in life, and be kind, especially to animals.